G'day, I'm Greg and welcome to the shed. A fair bit's happened since I last spoke to you guys. I say since I last spoke to you guys, since we last had a talking turkey. So we're talking turkey in the shed, and what we've got is we've got a new shed. Well, it's another shed anyway. Everything that was in this shed is elsewhere, and everything that was in the old shed is in this shed, along with a bit more. For those of you that have seen my nomination for Keith Fenner's What's in Your Box competition, some of this will be a bit familiar. For those of you that haven't, we'll give you a bit of a look around and tell you what's going on. And most of you haven't seen all of this anyway. The place is a mess because I'm halfway through, or halfway, probably close to halfway, because everything's going to move again anyway, through reorganising everything. So what we've got, I just want to take my hand off the camera, off the tripod, and it stops wobbling. This bench is going to go, and a metal bench is going to go in its place. This bench is going into another area. The shed was all tin. We put some polystyrene insulation in, and that's still got going to be, all the stuff's got to come off because it's all got to be lined with fibre cement sheeting, sealed, painted, fibre cement sheeting to do something about a bit of fireproofing, so that we, when I'm grinding and got the welders and that going, that I don't have to be quite so nervous all the time. You can see my universal dividing head just sitting on the end of the mill there. For those of you that haven't seen the Elliott video mill, the Elliott mill video, that's the Elliott mill. Probably about the spot it's actually going to live for the rest of its days while I'm here. That's what I kind of think is going to happen. That said, it'll probably all get moved now that I've said that. So there's the Elliott mill. Actually, I might take you off the stand and we'll go for a bit of a tour. So we're actually on a power load at the moment, so I've got to wrestle with that as well. So there's the Elliott mill. Tucked in the back here is another project. This is the one that you can't see. This is a power hacksaw that I picked up. Needs a bit of TLC. It's been sitting for a number of years. And there's some copper pipe for gas fitting, on automotive gas fitting, and there's some plastic pipe there for airlines to be dealt with. Down here we've got a couple of reasonable sized lumps of flame cut hot rolled. There's another project in that which we'll keep, well, you'll find out about it when we get there. Those of you that have watched the vertical slotter video will recognise the vertical slotter, which I'm just walking back from. Problem with the vertical slotter is that it has to be there because that's the only place we've got sufficient altitude to get it to go up, and stuff's just stuck everywhere. Basically everything has to be behind that line, because that line lines up with the doorway. And there's to the shaper. It's late afternoon at the moment, as you probably gathered, so there's the vertical slotter. There's lots and lots of stuff that's just been moved and shoved, and it's got to be moved and shoved again. The shaper badly needs covering up. stuck in there, the bit you can see that's blue. Hang on a sec. Just getting a bit more extension cord. There's the end of the V-block project. That there is, let's zoom in, that's a bit of the sheeting. I just put those two sheets in the corner there because I really don't want to shift that cupboard out again. A couple of toolboxes. So that's basically that. Then we go back there. Yeah, there's some LED lights. The tripod that you were on. New addition, a fridge. Yes, there was not a fridge in the old shed. So that's a significant improvement. Good old tool trolley that I've had for 20 years, something like that, I think. Maybe a bit longer. Made out of scrap, some old shelving and some scrap. It's been good. It's done everything that I wanted it to. Underneath the fire blanket there is actually a MIG welder, a stick and a DC inverter for the TIG. The trolley's sitting there. Again, that's mobile. The tool and cutter grinder all wrapped up as it should be. My other trolley. There's the lathe. Yeah, the Hafco AL540A, no longer available, has been superseded. Yeah, very, 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 very happy with it as far as performance goes. A very good lathe. Made in Taiwan. Does have a couple of little characteristics with it that are less than optimum, but they're rectifiable. It's got the DRO on it. Another tool trolley. 3-in-1 machine. TIG, stick and plasma. Yeah, not a bad all-round machine. Bottle of argon, as you can tell. Well, those in Australia will know it's a bottle of argon because the rest of the world uses different colours. The HM48, I think this is a D. It's a mill drill. Yeah, not a bad machine. Again, it's one of those things that's got a few characteristics that are good and bad. DRO on it. Control panels over there. There's been, the new one's had quite a few upgrades on it. I was looking at it the other day. I think there's the upgrades are fairly significant improvements. Bit of 4E cast iron. Got a plan for that, which we won't go into too much at the moment. This bench is on wheels. So I can actually, once it's balanced, you can actually wheel it around the shop and then put the legs down and level it off. Most of you will probably notice it. Up this end, under the camera bag, that's 1045. I like 1045 because it's easy to harden. You can water harden it quite easily. And the beauty of being able to water harden it is that you can also temper it quite easily. Big advantage is that you can temper it at normal type oven temperatures, so you can go and throw it in your oven or in your barbecue and get the temper that you need. Pretty handy motorbike. Very disappointed. Head gasket kit. 1991, bought it second hand. Bloody thing's done a head gasket. Not happy, but it won't be a head gasket. There'll be other stuff that needs to be done because that's just how they are. Yeah, so this here's another project. It's painted Chamberlain orange, I think. It used to be belt driven, like the vertical slider. It's been used as a wood lathe. It's been converted to V-belts with a 3-speed gearbox. That's a spare chuck that came with it. And the electric motor's underneath, so it drives up through the gearbox from the output shaft of the gearbox to the spindle shaft. Out the back of it, it's got, this is a thrust block to apply thrust to keep the, actually I can't remember if it goes forwards or back, doesn't make much difference, it does one of the, must go forward, so that it applies thrust to here to control your end float. At some stage it's had a proper gear train on it, but nowadays it's belt driven for the feed. And we come along, this thing's rather interesting. It's got 2 feeds in and it's got 1 feed down plus the long travel feed that goes, your standard long travel feed. I'll just put this on. None of these wheels are original, I don't think. It's a pretty safe bet because this one on the tailstock that we're looking at has somewhere here, let me get it in the right spot, it's got open, and is that locked up? I think that one says close. Yeah, open and close. Might be up. Can't see, it's a bit dark here. Yes, there's a black cat in the shop. Now, 2 things of interest on this. Firstly, if I want to back the saddle out, you turn it in the wrong direction. You turn it in opposites. Now that's generally the sign of an old lathe. The other thing is, this lever here, and it's seized at the moment, that's your half nut there. Actually, maybe it's come loose, yeah, it's come loose. Okay, so that's your half nut. Let's get back. And it is literally a half nut on this. So what happens is that engages your half nut and that gives you your power feed, and you drop it and that disengages it. But what you've got up here is you have, I don't know if it's thread cleaning or thread cutting. It looks to be, and I need to actually get in there with the thread gauge, but to my eye it looks to be pretty close to the same thread. So that's an interesting characteristic. There's a bit of wear in it. It's been a bit brutalised over the years. Something else we'll look at. Let's go fully wide. Something else we'll look at here. The riser under the tailstock. That's been fabricated. But we've still got the gear here, and we've got the square hex here. You just see the end of the rack. Square hex here, rack front and rear, to wind the tailstock across. Then what we'll do is we'll come down to the front and we'll shift the woodworking adapter out of the way. As you can see, it's had a riser put in here. so that we can get a bigger chuck on it. There's a weld in here, so it has been upgraded, for want of a better way of putting it. These are probably not the original bolts. It's plain metal bearings, and they're worn out, and there's quite a number of shim packers behind them, so all that needs to be redone. I think these bolts should be a bit closer to that in reality. So this will be another project, but what I want to do is I want it to be a minimalist project. And by minimalist, what I mean is, what I want to do is I don't want to repaint it. I want to redo the headstock bearings, for the simple reason that there's just too much float in them. It's got to the point where pretty much doesn't matter what you do, chatter is a no-cost option. It just chatters. We've actually done a fair bit of work on this over the years, surprisingly enough. And it wasn't a bad lathe, but there comes a point in time where you got to draw a limit. And when I've got that one over there, or this one here, what do? Well, this one's good fun. I do like getting on it occasionally, but it badly needs some TLC, and it needed some TLC when I got it. So yeah, that's another project. So we've got one project, two projects, which I don't know if you'll get to see a video on this one. Oops, we're hooked up, and we're hooked up again. We've got three projects. I need to make a adjustable tail stop for the dividing head, so that's 4 projects. We've got the power hacksaw, which is 5 projects. We've got those lumps of steel there, which we're not going to own up to what we're doing with them yet. That's 6 projects. That's 7 projects. As in the vertical slaughter makes 7. This here still needs a bit of work, including a new colour scheme, so that's 7 projects. We've got the V-block project, which is partially completed, so that's 8. And then we've got to finish insulating the shed. So we've got to finish insulating, we've got to finish lining it, and we've got to get the Sparky in to do some electrical work. So we can either call that 9 or we can call that 11, whichever you want. But there's that, and all of this stuff that is here, there, stacked up everywhere. Still has to be sorted, so that's another project in itself. And then we've got me back in shot and you back on the stand. And then what we've got is we've got the other shed, which used to be the shed. I've got to sort out everything that's in there. So yeah, I'm going to have to keep me occupied for 20 minutes or half an hour, something like that. There should be some good videos coming up, I hope, as to what order it happens in. I'm half tempted. It says it's ironic that we've ended up in this position because we're looking at the shaper. I'm half tempted to hurry up and get the V-block project finished. Probably the V-block project and the BMW project, or the bike project, closer to the top of the list than some of the others. The vertical slaughter, that's probably an easier project than some of the others, once I teach myself how to scrape. The Elliott mill is probably, hidden behind the engine crane, is probably the biggest project. The power hacksaw shouldn't be too big, I hope, but those lumps of steel down there on the trolley, they are a big project. They will probably be a bigger project time-wise than what the, at least, I hope not, but they are, time-wise, they'll be a pretty big project, and there's quite a bit of manhandling to go into them, if you'll excuse the pun, because I'll be picking them up. I won't be picking them up, I'll be using the crane. But you know what I mean. They'll be going on the shaper, incidentally. We're going to make some shapes in them. And I probably want the Elliott mill going when I do it, so yeah, I think they'll be down the list a bit. But anyway, I'm going to get on a bit. I'm going to put a bit more insulation in tonight because it's about 5:30 in the evening, hence the long shadows for this time of year anyway. So yeah, it's about 5:30. I'll probably put a bit more insulation in, tidy things up a little bit. There's a couple of benches that got to come in. Oh, one other thing. Let's get you around. Hopefully you can see there. On the other side of the bike, where the window is. Let's get you up a little bit. Yeah, that wall there where the window is. There's a bench going in there. There's a young bloke that's the board's here, so he's with his mum. So what we'll do is we'll put a bench in there because he wants to have a play. So we'll put a bench in there so he's got his own little area to pull things apart in and wreck them. And there's a couple of bits that I normally would have thrown out, which we've kept for him. There's an old computer that he's going to pull apart, and there's an old chainsaw for him to pull apart that's been given to him, and there's a cat wreaking havoc, and there's a computer screen, a few bits and pieces so that he can pull that apart. But yeah, so yeah, if you don't give her some attention, she'll climb up you. And that's not a pleasant experience when she walks up your back, which she's got a habit of doing. Like, she's done that a couple of times when I've been standing at the lathe. She just walks up my back. But yeah, so that's where we're at. And I've got more space here than what I had next door, but I filled it up quite quickly, and I really don't know about this stuff over here. Yes, Keita. I don't know. You're right? Okay. So yeah, I don't know about what I'm going to do with this stuff here. I half think it's in the right spot, and I half think it's not. So yeah, don't be surprised at all if I move it all again. Thank you very much for watching. Sorry I haven't got a lot more to show you, but at least I can show you why there's not lots of videos coming out at the moment, apart from the fact that I've got to get on a plane and head off to work. Oh, what fun. Alright, thanks very much, and please watch, please comment. Well, you're watching, so please comment, please subscribe, and please have a look at my nomination video for Keith Fenner's What's in Your Box competition. Thanks very much. Good night.